Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show, and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all those that have joined us for this little bit of a look at League One over this festive period, because what a league it is turning out to be. I'm glad to say I'm joined by Stephen Downs, Lewis Sale, and I'm not quite sure where he's actually going, but our Bradford man, Gareth Walker, is joining him en route somewhere at least.
Yeah, en route to Wakefield from Accrington.
Oh, there we
Somewhere
go.
on the motorway.
This is inevitably a family trip in that case. But, well, look, this is dedication to get you on. Obviously, we appreciate the connection might not be completely stable. We'll deal with it as best we can. But anyway, thanks for joining us. First things first, do we all have a good Christmas?
Yeah, I had a great Christmas.
Did you?
Yeah, very good, to be fair. Let's get into it then. Let's start with you, Gaz, because I'm conscious that, again, the signal might play up a little bit. I mean, Bradford's kind of festive period, the results so far, I guess you could kind of sum up as getting the job done.
Yeah, pretty much, Chris. I thought last night would be difficult, to be honest, after the 5-0 that obviously Port Vale suffered at Huddersfield. And it was a case of didn't really know what to expect, but you could tell from sort of minute one that they'd been told to get stuck in and show a bit of fight and a bit of grit and determination, and they really did, to be honest with you, and they made it really difficult for City. And it was only a really good goal from Jensen Metcalf. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a strike from the edge of the box that wins us the game. So yeah, that was tougher than expected. And then on Boxing Day, we faced a Wigan side who were, to use a strong word, they were really dirty, just really dirty throughout the whole game. They had 2 players sent off. I think that was the 5th and 6th red card of the season, and again made it really difficult for us. And teams seem to have gone from learning that they can't play out from the back against us to trying to match us for physicality, and sometimes that can overstep the mark a little bit, but we got the goal in the last minute there and got the job done again. So just as you say, Chris, getting the job done really.
Yeah, and I know we obviously saw each other over the weekend, and you were kind of somewhat frustrated, I think, by the way that other results didn't go your way in the latter stages, as Bradford got that winner against Wigan. But all in all, it's still continuing to be a season for Bradford that you certainly weren't expecting at the start of the season, and certainly one that you're hoping will continue into the second half.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a few surprise teams up there. Obviously, Stevenage, yourself in Lincoln, and us, and we're probably the biggest surprise of the lot, having just come up last season. So to me, achieving what we're achieving at the moment is absolutely delightful. Whether it'll continue or not, I don't know. A lot will probably come down to what happens in January. We've got some big games coming up over the next month. We've got Mansfield away on New Year's Day, who have just got back-to-back away wins. Then we've got Blackpool away on Sunday, who again seem to be turning it around a bit under Ian Evatt. And then we've got Rotherham at home, but after that we've got Cardiff at home, Huddersfield away. So we've got some big games coming up. And like I said, January will probably determine a lot, not just for us, but for other teams as well. But long may it continue as far as I'm concerned. I'd have been happy with mid-table, so to be where we are is delightful at the moment.
Look, I'm going to end up bringing up these fixtures kind of probably a few times over the course of the next half an hour or so. But as you rightly point out there, for New Year's Day, it's Mansfield away, a trip to Field Mill. Am I right in thinking you're going to that one, Gaz?
Yeah, another day on the motorway for me, mate. Seem to be on the motorway a heck of a lot at the moment. I've been busy every day over Christmas past Sunday. So yeah, I'm going. I've not been to Field Mill before. It's probably the closest ground that I've never been to. So I was looking forward to the trip because they haven't been doing that well, but they have literally just won the last 2 away games. And I think one of them they came back from 2-0 down. So they're in a bit of form.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, it was Barnsley that Mansfield were 2-0 down and he came out to win that one 3-2. And then, as you say, a trip to the seaside as well on Sunday the 4th with Blackpool. And look, I mean, it goes to show, if I can just quickly find the right table graphic, there we go, that 5-6 weeks ago, for example, both Blackpool and Peterborough were sitting in that bottom 4. There was a reasonably, I think, like a 5 or 6 point gap between the bottom 5 and everybody else. And just look at how the table quite literally has turned, because Blackpool and Peterborough are now sitting 13th and 14th in a table that, well, look, 9th are on 29 points and 21st is on 26. It's a ridiculously tight table. Now, for everybody else, at one point, it was all the playoff sides and the hunting sides that were looking tough. Now it's literally like ninth down is relegation.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, really, isn't it? I mean, like you said, Peterborough seem to have come to since Luke Williams took over as manager. Blackpool have turned it around a bit since Ian Evatt went in, but the gap now is between sort of the top four and then the top three. Then there's a bit of a gap, and then there's another bunch of teams. Then another gap sort of down to outside the playoffs, and then after that, everyone's really tight. I think, did you say 3 points or something between ninth and the relegation zone? It's just ridiculous, really, how it's mixing up at that level at the moment.
Yeah, Lou, I'll come to you kind of as the neutral in this one. I mean, what do you make of League One this season when you look at the table now?
I think City have done well to get the points in the bag. They've been phenomenal over the calendar year. I'll go as far to say I would say that Graham Alexander's up there for me as one of the candidates as manager of the season throughout 2025 across all divisions. I think he's been unbelievable for what he's achieved there and what he continues to do. I think, there is a split at the moment. It is still a bit of a silly season where teams will beat each other that you probably unexpectedly see across, various midweek and weekend games. But, I think you look at that table, if you're at the beginning of this season, if you said you'd have been above Luton, you'd have expected to be in the top two, top three. So there's plenty of teams that are doing better than Luton. Obviously, knowing them changing manager, that should maybe pick up soon. But I think, City have done really well. To be 43 points within a point of second, 4 points off top spot, they're well within that playoff hunt. And listen, it's going to be, and I don't want to sound pessimistic, but there's going to be a time when City are going to have a little bit of a dodgy spell, and it's how they deal with that. I would be surprised if City go all the way throughout the rest of the season doing what they're doing. I hope they do. It's remarkable what they've done, but at some point it is going to be a bit of a dodgy spell, and it's how they ride that out. But, they have got that cushion of points at the moment, and if teams still keep beating each other and City have just got that little bit of extra, cushion of points above other teams, then they give themselves half a decent chance to be in that shout of the playoffs. And City have got experience in the playoffs in years gone by. They've been used to playing big games as well, so, it bodes well for them. But, yeah, for me, it goes without saying, and we've been on the show many times, and people have been on social media battering them keys, talking about Alexander out. For me, he's manager of 2025, not just locally, I think across nationally. I've seen a stat that came out after the game yesterday and this morning that City have won more games out of all top four divisions and in Europe than anybody else, across Europe, which is phenomenal after what City have been through in recent years. So, people were wanting him out. The pitchforks are out. They were protesting. 6-9 months later, they're now riding the crest of the wave, and everybody's loving him. And that's just football, isn't it?
Yeah, that is absolutely football. I mean, look, as Lou mentioned, tricky points will come. There'll be tough runs, but just thinking back in that first half of the season, was it a 7-game winless run you had at one point? A little bit early this season, Gaz, and yet somehow, despite the fact that you were just taking draws and the like, you didn't actually fall out of the top two despite that run at the time.
That's spot on, mate. We stayed up there. I think it was noticeable, like you pointed out there, and I think Graham Alexander pointed out at the time. There were a lot of draws in there. I think we only lost one, and we were drawn against good sides as well. We mentioned already how competitive League One is, so anyone can beat anyone on the day, and we were picking up draws, and we seem to have come through that now. We've lost 1 in 4. I think that was Leyton Orient away. We didn't really deserve to lose that game. I was at that game. But like Luke says, I think the thing with City is not getting carried away when things go well, not getting carried away when things go badly. When we do hit that inevitable sticky run, which we will at some point, it's remembering where we were 18 months ago and seeing if we can ride it out like we have done so far and stay up there for as long as we can. And what will be, will be. But like I said, I think January is going to be a big thing, not just for us, but for most teams in that mix at the top end of League One.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be very, very interesting. Before we let Gaz go, because I appreciate the signal can drop at any minute, Lou, Downs, any comments or questions for Gaz on City so far?
No, I just think from my point of view, they've done unbelievable. I agree with Lou that he probably is the manager of the year with what he's done and how he's turned it around, and being sort of always 2 games to City fans calling him out and wanting him sacked. He's gone on an unbelievable run. Valley Parade is obviously a fortress, as I've experienced this season myself, unfortunately. But they've just got to carry on. And like Gaz says, January changes things, doesn't it? I mean, I kind of agree with what Gaz said a couple of weeks ago. I don't know whether anybody will come in for their better players, not because they're not good enough. It's just because City have got them tied down to good deals, and that means that sort of the power is with them rather than the players, really. And the players won't want to leave with how they're playing at the moment and the way that the fans are with them. So they've just got to keep it up. Obviously, Michael is trying to catch them after our sticky start, let's say. But it's gonna be an interesting next month, and just well played to Alexander and the City team and the City fans as well for recognising that they have been on a good run and to get behind the team, because the power of any fan base behind your team can make a real difference. And that it's been an incredible first half to the season.
Yeah, one from me, guys, if it's all right, is obviously January's coming up. What does Alexander do? Does he strengthen with 1 or 2 players to keep it the same? Obviously, there's question marks whether Andy could maybe see out the rest of his season with all his recent injury and the couple of problems you've had at left back. How do you see that going?
There was talk last night after the game, Lou. Alexander basically mentioned 3 loans that we've got lined up to come in. One will be in the first week, 2 later in the window. There's obviously debate over Cook and Alex Patterson. There's a rumour doing the rounds that Alex Patterson's been told he could go. He's got an agreement with Graham Alexander that are changes for the best. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Cookie, for me, is the interesting one. He's the one that, obviously, sentimentally it pulls on the heartstrings, but it's more than that for me, really. I think if we let Cookie go, we'll struggle to get any striker in a similar ilk who can give us that physical presence up front, who's better than him. I think at League 1, League 2 level, he's one of the best at that. So it's all right saying, oh yeah, it's sentimental, you don't want to let him go because of that. We lose that completely if he goes. I don't see it's going to be a big ask to get anyone better than him. You're going to have to spend some money to get anyone better than him. And then if you go down the other route of bringing someone in who's a different type of striker, you lose that option of that physicality. So Andy Cook's the interesting one for me. Sounds like Patterson will go. I think Cook will go, but it's the right decision will remain to be seen.
Well, there we go. Thanks, guys, ever so much for being able to join us. And also, just look at your jumper for being the most festive looking out of the 4 of us as well. So, appreciate you on that front too.
No worries, mate. Living it up till the 6th, mate. 12 days of Christmas and all that. Back to the future Christmas jumper. Here we go.
Enjoy the family trip to Wakefield, mate, and we'll speak to you soon.
Take care, boys. See you later.
See you guys.
There we go. That's dedication. It's on the way over to a family get together in Wakey. He still finds the way of joining us whilst he's on the move. And to be fair, I'm surprised actually the signal held that really, really well overall there. I mean, yeah, look, we'll just kind of round up Bradford. It has been a remarkable first half of the season.
Yeah, listen, what they've done has been remarkable. What they did at the end of last season, is pretty unprecedented. To win with the last kick of a game and all that comes with it, all the emotion and being able to carry that into this season. And what we said right at the beginning of the campaign, didn't we? It's arguably one of the toughest League One divisions we've seen in a long time, and it's proving that case. Obviously there is that little bit of a 6-7 point split, but you could argue that it's still going to be the case. There's still going to be teams that are going to come from nowhere and fight out. There's going to be teams that are going to drop off. But listen, if you're a Bradford City fan, you just got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy what you're doing, how you're performing, getting results. And like Gaz mentioned earlier, with that 7-game winless run, we're still picking up draws, which is massive. If you're not playing well and you're not winning, just don't lose. I expect City to be knocking on the door. Whether they'll stay in there is debatable. I would be conscious of swapping it too much. I think 3 loan signings sounds like a lot. I think maybe 1 or 2 could help. I think Andy, he makes a really good point about Andy Cook, from that sentimental value and what he offers, but I think also what he offers in the dressing room at this point in time in the season when you're halfway through it, you're in the playoffs. The last thing you want to do is lose big characters who can galvanise people and been there and done it. And that would be a big loss, I think, if I lost Andy Cook in January. I think sometimes you've just got to cut your losses and just go with it until the end of the season. Do I think they'll be there? They stand a good chance, don't they, the way things are going. It depends. Can they keep on, like Downsy mentioned earlier? It's a really good point. Can you keep hold of your assets? And the way City are doing at the moment, you'd expect them to. With some of them capable of being in the Championship, it's questionable. But listen, like I said, you've just got to. It's a cliche. You've got to just take each game as it goes and just keep on doing what you're doing, because at the moment it's working for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's turn our attention then to Huddersfield Town. Don't forget, you can get your comments in as well on YouTube. And a big, I don't even know what time it will be, but a big good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is, good evening probably, to Jed, who's a regular Town fan that tunes in. He says, gives Downsy a G up watching this in a bar in Bangkok. It's all right for some. Thanks for joining us, Jed. Again, that's dedication, to be fair, to be tuning in when you're sat at a bar in Bangkok. I don't think I'm the right man to give Downsy a G up, to be honest, because I want to be knocking him down, to be fair, for New Year's Day. Look, we'll come to this one. He's coming with a straight-up question of what's happening with Joe Taylor. I mean, I reckon a loan to Lincoln's on the cards for just in time for 3:00 kickoff on Saturday. No issues about playing against his parent club. Just get him straight in there.
No, I don't see that happening somehow. Who knows what's going to happen with Joe Taylor? I mean, he's not playing. He hasn't come on really in the last 2-3 games. I mean, in some games he's been left out completely. So
he's coming home.
I don't quite know what's happening there. I think it's quite clear that Grant doesn't trust what Taylor does when he's on the pitch. In terms of giving off the ball sort of running, which obviously Dion Charles does. I mean, Charles runs whatever the case anyway. Now, what he does with the ball and how much quality you get from Charles is a different matter. Although yesterday, for the second goal, you have to say that was superb centre forward play. When he broke away, wasn't quite quick enough, recognised that, didn't take a shot on, and instead turned back, looked for a pass, put Bojan in, who smashed it straight at the keeper, but the keeper jumped out of the way. So, listen, the other strikers are more in form, but it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Joe Taylor. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with a few of the Town squad, really, which I'm sure we might touch on in a minute. But yeah, it's been a positive last few weeks. Jed will know that. I know he was over for the Port Vale game. He came all the way back to Blighty, so it was.
He's racking up the air miles, is Jed, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he racks him up. Does the lad? But I'm sure he'll have been delighted with the 5-0 drubbing of Port Vale, who I think all three of us on this podcast could have played against, to be honest, on Boxing Day. Northampton were a tougher test, to be honest, which we all knew that they would be. But Matt, we managed to get another 3 points, and now we just have to play basically a non-league club on New Year's Day. So it'd be interesting.
See, you could have just been nice about this and not been a knob, but there we go. He's set the tone already. I can't believe you're taking this kind of approach to a side that are. How many points clear have we? Have you? For 7.
You're both being ballsy, to be fair, boys. You're both being very ballsy in the chat. So, sometimes just go under the radar is the best approach, but you two are going all out for it, which is just hilarious because somebody's going to end up with egg on the face, or it's going to be the worst 0-0 draw ever.
But to me, Lou, right, even though I've been ballsy, I expect us to lose, to be honest, because Lincoln have been in such good form. They've beaten some very, very good opposition. So my ballsiness is with a hint of I expect to lose, to be honest. Chris is just all out there, just confident. Chris doesn't expect to lose to Huddersfield, to be honest. So if it means that he gets egg on his face, it'll be even more hilarious. Because also he's got a 2-hour trip back with me and my other half on New Year's Day, which I know he's delighted about.
He's now bringing his other half along as protection, basically.
Absolutely.
That's all he's doing there. I mean, look, to be fair, I mean, we were going to come on to this. We may as well start with it now. I don't know what to expect, to be fair, out of the game on New Year's Day. I really don't. Obviously, you came to our place and won in the cup, but there was like 9 changes from either side, so you can't read too much into that. Yeah, it's. I mean, we're on a ridiculous bit of form. I didn't see us getting the Boxing Day down the bottom there away at Stockport that we did with a 92nd minute winning penalty. We then did all right last night. I watched it on telly, and we backed it up with a good win away at Barnsley. 2 defenders on the score sheet, although one of them was a peach from Adam Reach, to be fair. Great goal. And it sets things up nicely when you do look at the table coming into the game on New Year's Day with Lincoln at home to Huddersfield, because it's both sides are in great form. And no defeat in the last 6 for Lincoln, 1 defeat in the last 6 for Town. And bear in mind though, Downsy, that after that last defeat for Town, you were very much of the Grant out, get him gone opinion.
No, yeah, and that's fine. I'm happy to admit that. I think the win against Rotherham saved his bacon. I do. I think if he'd have lost that game, he'd have gone. But that was his. That was his.
How bad are Rotherham at the moment? Because they were tonked, but 4-0 last night, I think, by Blackpool, and have dropped into the bottom 4.
Rotherham are terrible side. I mean, they don't even play football; they just hoof it forward and up. But Sam Nomby can get on end or something.
The thing is that we're one of the sides they've beaten this season. They did us plenty. I think 3-0 at their place.
Yeah, they do come up with weird results, but it's. I think for the New Year's Day game, I think we're in good form. With top scorers now in the league, with 43 goals, I think 42 or 43. Cardiff is a second, and they're top of the league. So we score a lot of goals. The thing that's hampered us over the season so far is conceding. We've got 2 clean sheets in his last 2, albeit against not fantastic sides. I don't expect to get a clean sheet on New Year's Day, but I'm excited for the game. I think for us, it's a chance to. We haven't beaten anybody bar Stevenage in the top 9, so it's a chance for us to show our mettle against a better opposition, and it's something that Lee Grant still needs to prove that he can beat one of the top teams in this league. And if we go and do that, I think all props to him. That'll put us on to 40 points. And then we're right on the coattails of you 3 up at the top. But yeah, nobody wants to lead this division, really. I mean, Cardiff have pulled away slightly. But you look at Stockport, Bolton, Stevenage have dropped, Luton get weird results, Wickham win 4-0 and then lose 4-0. And so it's all very tight. They're all very much of a muchness. Obviously, you haven't got Barnsley in that graphic there. They're another side that, pulls out some great results, but then fall away again. So
look at them now. This is the thing for Barnsley, because I remember us talking about Barnsley again, probably about 3 or 4 weeks or so ago, and they still have 3 games in hand on a lot of sides, but because of their recent results, that defeat to Mansfield, obviously being beaten by Lincoln last night, yes, they can, close gaps and possibly claw themselves to being one of those sides in and around those playoff places. But honestly, from what I saw at Barnsley last night, and when we played them at home about a month or so ago, they just don't look like a side that's capable of getting anywhere near the playoffs.
No, they score goals, but they let a lot of goals in as well. Like that Mansfield game that Gaz was on about, that that they were leading 2-0 and lost 3-2. So, I mean, obviously Lou's on here. I'd like to get Lou's opinion on Town really, and how he thinks we've done sort of like this season so far, and just your opinion, Lou. To be honest,
I've been quite vocal on our podcast saying that you've got to give Grant time. I know people have been up against him and doing what he's doing, but for me,
I was all for giving Grant time when he was doing terribly. I was all for giving time.
Gosh, you were. Yeah, gosh, you were. But no, I think when you look at it from the outside, it's hard in it when you're involved in it and you see, you are wrapped up in the emotion of it. For me, you've built pretty much a brand new squad, brand new coaching staff, all that coming in. It's a big, big seismic change. And what I will say is that doesn't happen overnight in terms of just everybody gelling together. Do I see Huddersfield where I expected to be? Yeah, I think, Downsy, that's what I said. And it wasn't being disrespectful. I just thought you've got good enough quality of play to be up there or thereabouts. But to walk this league is going to be very difficult. listen, I can't say I've seen a lot of Town performances, so it's hard for me to comment, but the ones I have seen and the extended highlight stuff on YouTube and this, that, and the other, and games I've seen on the TV, that you look all right. You look an half-decent League One side, which is kind of where I expected you to be with that transition period. I think you look at that playoffs at the moment. I mean, if it did finish like that, then 4 clubs, that's a massive playoff race. You can imagine them in the playoffs at the end of the season, City, Stockport County, Huddersfield and Bolton. That is monumental playoff, at the end of the season. Is that I think you've got absolutely. I think from Huddersfield perspective, you're 7 points adrift with played a game more than some others around you. Yes, it's a game in hand, but teams are going to lose. Like I say, it's going to be a bit of a crazy period, I think, until the end of the season, especially judging by the quality in that league. I think you've done fine. I can appreciate people with the money that's been spent think you should be higher, and I can get that. But I think in the cold night of day, you've done fine to be where you are. It will be interesting to see what he does in January. What I will say is, I don't know what's going on with Joe Taylor, because I've noticed that he's not been playing either. If a manager doesn't think he's good enough to be in that squad, then the manager does not think he's good enough to be in that squad. And I think that's really good from Lee Grant to stick by his guns. And, listen, he's been slightly inexperienced. He's not been at that level, being in the hot seat with all that pressure. But if he feels like arguably what the record signing isn't good enough to be in his squad, then fair play. He's got the balls to make that call and not put him in. Now, there might be pressure from outside and fans to say this, that and the other. But at the end of the day, he's been paid to do a job. And maybe you recoup a little bit of it. You might not get everything you've got back from it, but sometimes that's football.
He was a summer signing, wasn't he, Taylor?
Well,
he was a summer signing, wasn't he, Joe?
No, it was January. It was January.
Was
signed him last January. His first game was against Blackpool.
So that was a Duff signing?
A Guff signing?
Duff. Well,
Duff signing.
Duff, to be fair.
Yeah. It was a Duff signing, yeah.
Sometimes just don't work out, Div. I mean, listen, he's come with a decent reputation. He scored goals, and sometimes you go to clubs that don't always work, and it might not play to his system. But I think the more that this season goes on, I think Town will be absolutely fine. I think you'll be in the playoffs. I think you'll give a good crack of it, and then it starts to become a little bit of a lottery. But listen, I think it'll be interesting again, like we said with City. City are going to make 3 loan signings. That seems quite a lot. I think Town have just started to settle into a little bit of a rhythm with the players that they've got in a system that he's wanting to play. Maybe add 1, potentially 2 at the most. I think the last thing you want to do is start changing things, because it's taken 6 months to get into some kind of, well, not even 6 months, has it? 4 months since August, really, to get the squad he wants and the formation he wants. But I think you can be encouraged. I really do. And like I said, people still want Grant out, and they still will do when you lose a game. But I think he's shown some balls, and I think fair play to him. He's come out at the other end, and it will be a failure if Town don't get in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. You can't shirk behind that fact. If Town don't get anywhere near the playoffs or outside of it, then it is a failure. But I think you're good enough. I think the quality players you've got are good enough to get over the line and do it in the playoffs.
I just think from the, just touching back on Taylor, listen, I agree with you. I think it is ballsy from Grant. Through signing for $3 million. All right, he didn't sign him, but the other strikers are doing the business. Bojan's scoring. Dion Charles is still making efforts, and obviously Alfie May. You can't leave a striker as good as what Alfie May is out of any squad, really. So my thing going back to New Year's Day though is, like I say, it's all right beating Port Vale, and it's great beating Northampton. Obviously you need to win those games to create a promotion push, but you also need to win games of teams in and around you, and that's the test now. Can Grant go from beating sides that are near the bottom or mid-table or not in good form to then beating a side like Lincoln, who are in absolutely superb form, running like a steam engine, and can we go beat them on their own turf in a proper league game, not in the Fisherman Friends Virtue Trophy?
I hear you, Downsy. I completely hear you, and I'm going to not polarise opinion a little bit, because I do agree with you, but I'm also going to do it on the flip side. Is this that if you're beating teams below that at the moment, that'll get you in the playoffs. And even though psychologically it might be a bit of a tough one where you may not beating teams above, you can also go on the flip side of that and people go, well, Huddersfield have not beaten anybody, so they're not going to go up. And you've actually got the quality to beat them teams. So I get you. Sometimes you need the odd one or two around teams around you to do that.
Yeah.
If you want, I think if you want to go up automatically, I 100% agree with you. You've got to beat the teams up and in around you. I think if you're going to be in and around the playoffs, I think you can almost get away with it in this league. I think you can beat from 10 downwards. Still be in the playoffs and be fine. I think it depends on your expectations and Town's expectations. Yeah, top two, absolutely need to be beating Lincoln with all due respect on New Year's Day, and the others, your cities that are coming up and all them, you've got to do that. Playoffs, I think you can get away with it a bit.
I'll take a draw on New Year's Day. Absolutely. Me and Chris sit there, 0-0, sit back in the car. That'd do for me.
I think both teams. You know what? I think both teams would, Downsy, mate. I don't know about you, Chris, but I think I think both teams would.
See how Chris reacts now to this.
Because we're at home, I'm torn, to be fair. And because of the fact that I've seen us play the best side in the league, we were excellent against Cardiff a couple of weeks ago. We really were. So to see us be able to do that against what are, without a doubt, on paper, the best squad, the best side in the division, it's hard not to get your hopes up. I think for us, to be fair, I think for us to be in a title race that I didn't expect us to be in, I think we have to win. I think that's fair.
There's the ball. There it is, Lou. There's the difference in the balls.
Because I've just caveated that to be in a title race that we didn't expect to be in, we have to beat Huddersfield. We have to beat Peterborough on the 4th. We have to take 6 points because you've got to be on the coattails of Cardiff because I don't see them dropping many points second half of the season. So if we're to be in a title race, then we have to get the win. It's one of those. I would take a point for the easy car journey home with this smirking git in the back. But yeah, it will be what it will be. All I'm saying is, if Lee Grant can't get the best out of Joe Taylor, Skubala had a 1-in-2 strike rate out of him, better than 1-in-2 actually, 10 in 19 games. So he could come home good, Joe Taylor, where he's loved and appreciated and played well. And to be fair, we probably will be in the market for a striker because James Collins is out for the season and Ben House is out for a couple of months, I think. So
he's still got. The problem with Joe Taylor is his price tag, isn't it? That's the problem with Joe Taylor, that he's gone for so much money.
Yeah.
And that's not his fault either. That is not his fault. And whether he's worth it or not is another debate. But that's always going to be hanging around his neck at the moment, is that. And that's going to make him difficult to shift for others.
Yeah, because they're not going to loan him out either to a side that's higher in the division at the moment.
And that's not his fault either, which is, it's difficult as well.
No, we'll probably do like we did in 2000 and sell Marcus Stewart to Birmingham. You know what I mean? We'll probably do that again and sell a top striker to his rival, which will probably get you up.
I mean, Jed's just making the point he pursued him for 9 months or so. Was obviously Cartwright as the director of football, and allegedly it's around 10 grand a week. I mean,
again, it's not his fault, is it? It's not his fault. That's the situation he's found himself in, and it's one of those where it's difficult. But Huddersfield are doing okay without him, so why would Lee Grant at the moment put him in? And you never know; he might stick around, and he might be the secret weapon for the last 2 or 3 months to spear Huddersfield to promotion. And you could see that happening. You could absolutely see that happening. He's got a point to prove to get a potential move in January or go to the Championship.
Sod's Law says that because of the busyness of this fixture running, they'll throw him in on bloody New Year's Day out of the cold, and he'll do bloody wonders and come back to haunt us. But we'll certainly hope not for that. We'll wrap it up there because I know that Jay and Brownie have got a Leeds United live. They're starting literally in a couple of minutes on the channel. So for Leeds fans, you have to join Jay and Brownie for that one. We'll wrap up there, and before it gets too feisty, before the New Year's Day journey that we're making down to Sinsel Bank for Lincoln versus Huddersfield, we will, I'm sure, be, if not doing anything whilst we're there, we'll be reporting back afterwards on the show. That is for sure. From myself though, and from Lou and Downs, a big thank you to Gaz that joined us on the move earlier on as well. Enjoy the rest of your whatever day of the week it bloody is right now. Have a very happy New Year, and we'll see you soon here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Take care.
Up the town.
Disgraceful.